Kim at 323 West 9th Street in Newport, Kentucky, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that would be concerning to the buyer. Our access is a rear stack at it's the rear right of the basement, right at the walkout to the basement walkout in the rear right corner. We're going through the stack, and then if we need to, there's also an old toilet flange in the floor on the rear left of the basement, actually in the floor. And that used to be there used to be a toilet down here in the floor that was removed, and they just have an expansion plug in the old hole. And so we'll show you. There is the walkout steps, and here is the stack that we're going through. And so, hopefully, because it does have a cast iron, the base of the stack is still cast iron, and they put a PVC up so far, and then it goes into copper up above. But based off the age of the home, I would expect this to go into clay as soon as it gets down through the floor. And there it goes. So if we need to, though, we do have access going through the other toilet flange. That lateral is not really, or that I should say that branch is not really important to inspect just because it's not being used. It's been abandoned. So the main line should go straight out the front. A little tiny bit of water in here, but nothing major. This is all normal. Looks like there's a Y in right here, which is most likely where that toilet comes in. You can see it right there on the right. And then there's also one here, which is probably that floor drain where the condensate for the HVAC is supposed to go in. Clay is a pretty good material. Most common thing we see with it is root intrusion, but in situations like this, in areas like this where there's not a whole lot of trees, it usually does really good. As long as the earth doesn't move a whole lot. You can see they're very short sections of pipe. They're about 3 feet long in between the seams, and so they're definitely short pieces of pipe, and so they definitely have a lot of connections in there. I'm not sure, there's also something that may, a lot of times in these old houses there are what they call whole house traps, which would be like a trap on a fixture. Sometimes it prevents us from going all the way to the main, but we're going to see how that goes. Hopefully that it's late enough to where it wasn't installed or it's been removed, but either too early or a lot of those were installed seemingly from the turn of the century up until about 1920, maybe a little bit later. They were installing those, and it basically is a big U right in the center of the line before it gets out to the sewer main. So we have a spot. It doesn't look like it's an issue. Looks like there's some buildup right there in front of us. I don't know why it's not going over this little spot right here. I'm just not getting enough run at it, I guess. Huh. It's like I'm hitting that little edge of junk. Huh. Doesn't look like that would be. There is a small like break, but because of where my camera is going. Oh great, now I got junk on the front of my camera here. So I went past it. And I really didn't see any issues with it, but now all of a sudden I can't see anything. Got a bunch of junk in front of my camera. A lot of times, go far enough, and I can get the camera in the main, and it'll rinse off here. There we go. So I'm actually in the sewer main, so that's good. It is rinsing off slowly. I was probably right there when I pushed through. Okay, here we go. There we go. Usually down here, these sewer mains are really big and they're brick. We'll take a look here. So a lot of times that stuff that got on the front of the camera, that's just like a little bit of a build-up because of the floor drains and stuff like that. Yeah, that was it. So see, that's just like dirt and build up. It comes through like the floor drains and the downspouts and stuff like that. And so that was the spot where I got it on there. I don't see any issues. Everything looks like it's functioning fine. There's that little bit there, like 82 feet right here in front of you. That is off the property, and so if that ever does for some reason get, have any issues with it, it's not on the property owner. It would be out in the street far enough it's within 10 feet of the main, and so it's out in the street either way. You probably got 20 feet of pipe at least between the tap and the property line, and so the line looks really good. For its age, it's amazing how well this looks. It's like there hasn't been any movement. Everything looked really good. The line, because it's vacant, just needs some use actually. It'd be nice to be able to run some water, but I really can't run any water down here. There's no stationary tub or anything to run it in, and I can't run it in the plumbing upstairs, because if I did, it would just come out all over the floor, because the side of the pipe is open with the clean out cap off for me to do the inspection. So, but the good news is I didn't see any defects with the line at all. That spot at 82 feet is just a little bit of a lip from the connection, and that little buildup of dirt is, like I said, it's from where the downspouts come into it, and probably the floor drain. It looks like everything has been sealed, but most likely, like with these old stone foundations, a lot of times when they leach stuff through them, you end up getting dirt and stuff down in the area drains. Not to mention there's probably a drain on the property somewhere that also picks up stuff. But I am very happy with the condition of this line. I didn't see anything of any concern. But what I was saying about the foundation is sometimes the foundation will leak. It'll leach on these old stone foundations, and then that'll leach out some dirt and stuff like that in between the rock and all that, and then it runs down into the floor drain and then into the sanitary, into the sewer line. And so in those cases, they tend to have buildup and stuff like that from those. But again, there's probably another area drain or something that's tied into that also on the outside. But this line is in great shape, and so especially without any trees out front, you don't really have much to worry about there either. And so this is exactly what you want to see. Most of the time on homes this age, there's at least something that is an issue, and so it's really a good thing. The line is in pretty good shape, and so with the big 6-inch clay going all the way out, that line should be able to handle a lot more than you could throw at it. The only thing you would have to worry about in situations like this is if everything is tied in, if the storm is tied into the sanitary like that, you would, under real heavy rains, it might be too much for the line. But usually it's not on the size of the line for the house, but more on the main. And I don't see any indication that that's ever happened here. Normally there'd be pretty obvious telltale signs that that's happened in one way or another, that the main hasn't kept up or backed up. But yeah, structurally the line looks great. I didn't see any issues at all, and the one spot with a little bit of dirt buildup and stuff, that's off the property and that's out in the street. And so if something was to ever happen out there, it would be the responsibility of the sewer department, which is SD1 in Northern Kentucky. But yeah, the line looked great. So that's going to end the inspection at 323 West 9th Street in Newport, Kentucky.